Okay. Now, I have a list of things I want to talk about, but I want to make it chronologically. Talk about the heavy stuff first. But one of them is me having to do something at home, show something at home, but I decided to talk a little bit about one of the last points, so that's why I can't start immediately, because the topic is very uplifting for me. It gives me energy, and I love this. But I'm also very protective of this, or when I want to talk about this, I want to, treat it with a lot of reverence and give it a lot of, make it feel perfect and great. So I don't want to talk directly about the topic, but only talk a little bit about it. I want to still make the full video after this. I do this as a quick, what's it called? Going into the topic I wanted to talk about, which is birds. But let me start, let me jump right into it. Right now I'm here, and the birds are in a little bit of an uproar, because a couple moments ago, let me show you the environment. These are trees I'm surrounded by, and it's a little bit of a thing. And by the way, they are a little bit uncomfortable about the camera, some of them, but I think last time I showed it, I think they might have gotten used to it. Here's a field behind there. I was riding my bike behind there, and I noticed, when birds see something, I suspect this kind of bird I want to talk about, they start making the sound that sounds like an alarm of a car. And something happened, and they stopped doing it with me, because it feels like some of them got comfortable with me. And I heard this again, and I wondered, wait a second, maybe these are birds that don't know me or something. But then I noticed it wasn't about me. There was a falcon hovering right there above me. And, I think this is why they are hi. There was a person walking past with a dog. It was very awkward, so I had to pause the video. Man. But yeah, I think I cut the videos together. There was a falcon hovering over there, and I felt, right as I was going in here, it was different. Acoustically, it was different. And I can literally hear it in their voice, and there was this, it was different when I walked in, because I felt some birds. No, let me, I'm throwing you into the cold water. What I'm saying is, I'm gonna elaborate later. Right now I'm throwing it into the water. So the birds, it felt, some of them recognized me, but of course the voice was a little bit more in anxious because I strongly suspect, because from where I was, the falcon is visible from here, and I mean they circle a large area and they are threat to these small birds, of course. They want to know exactly, so I think that this car alarm kind of chirping is, I suspect, my hypothesis is that it's not only to tell there's danger, but in that chirping is actually encoded the exact position and the direction this thing is going, and whether or not the air is clear, stuff like this. Because I hear that it's kind of like a program, it felt to me. It's like they add repeating patterns depending on, they change the patterns and repeat patterns depending on, the orientation. I don't know, it's like, I suspect this. And it stopped when that falcon was over. I'm here, there's still a little bit, but now sometimes over the falcon is not visible. So I want you to hear this environment and take it in acoustically. What the birds I'm speaking about, they're also crows, which I find goofy and I like them, and they also communicate with the crows, like, but I feel like they're just like, I don't know. It's not like, I'm speaking too much. Something very important happened. I want to lead up to this, but I want to talk this in this video because I feel very uncomfortable talking about this, because it's, so I want to have this moment, this right moment where I talk about this, with that, with this experience, which was beautiful. It was one of the most beautiful experiences I ever had, and that's why now, today, at this point, moving to the future, these animals are very important to me. So I'm gonna be quiet, and I want you to take this environment in acoustically. I suspect the recorder on this camera is good enough, and hopefully some birds that I believe know me will start to approach and you will hear it in their voice. And later, one day, I will write somewhere else where I never was, just to show you how the usual experience was that I had with these birds. The song that they sing, speaking about, the same stuff they use when, the same thing they chirp when there's a threat, or just with this falcon. And then I want to lead up after this video. I want within this video, but let me just be quiet and just get a sense of this environment. As I was about to do this, like, not 20 seconds passed and I heard the falcon. It's like, choo! And I suspect it's a bad day today. They're all scattered. But let me try again. Maybe, let's say, at least I want to talk about this topic. So, about this thing. So I would say 4 or 5 minutes, or let's say 6 minutes or so, I'm gonna be quiet for that amount of time. it's difficult to point a direction to sound, but I hear different birds and they say different things, and like these are words that mean, saying, they mean a lot of different things for different people on different occasions. I want to start with a talk about today is a very bad day to show you what I want to show, because the life of these birds is in danger. So it's the worst time. And I hope they're okay. And but that's how nature is. And it's easy to forget. And to me, what I experienced as I was first going here, and some birds responding to me, and some birds. This all happened, after I started getting attuned to my own emotions, going inside and reflecting about this. And I did this journal entry before, I did this journal entry in the forest. I uploaded this on YouTube. I called it Journal Entry Forest, 22nd April 2026. And it was very personal stuff. And towards the end of it, also during this, I cried. And at one point, when I was crying, this bird sat right in front of me, and it started singing the most beautiful, soothing tone I've ever heard. I've never heard this song ever in my life. Maybe it's, one of these things, when you're not aware of it, you don't notice it. But in this moment, it felt, this is the stuff, I want to give you my experience. And I don't want to hear your logic about this. Or your, that's also why I'm so uncomfortable, because I don't want this, because somebody, knows it better. I don't want the doubt. It feels, and not just feels, I believe it's true. Not just believe, I know it's true. This is what I mean. I don't want to. This is why it's so uncomfortable talking about this. So but forget about this. Right now, right now I feel emotionally detached. So I can't explain it in the most beautiful sense that I could, that I would feel would be. I don't feel that I would be able to describe it in this beautiful way I would like to, going all in and being able to describe it. So I hope I can do this, cognitively. So this happened when I was doing the journal, and I cried, and this bird responded to me, and it was directly to me. It started singing this song, and I had this with I'm giving you another background, 2 backgrounds, Usually I know these birds when I ride my bike, and they start doing this car alarm thing to me, and, being pissed off and go the fuck away. This is how it felt emotionally. And I was just noticing, having this in my head, and then having this personal experience, and this is how, and then this bird sits in front of me and starts. I've heard multiple songs, all different songs, but this one felt personal, and it felt personal, and I know it was directed to me, because it, So I had this with my therapist. I'm open about this. At one session we talked about the inner voice, my voice, how I speak to myself, how, you know, my mother's voice or somebody else's voice, especially it was in regards to how I speak to myself. So how would I describe my mom's voice sound like? And what voice would I use if I go inside me, if I would speak to a hurt child? Or what voice would I use if I speak to a close friend? And I want you to put into perspective, I have a well of historical knowledge about hearing these animals sing. And I've never in my life recall ever hearing this way of singing. It was not just singing because it feels personal. It was a direct response. This animal started to sit in front of me right when I was crying. And in the wake of having this knowledge, in the wake of, you know, me reflecting about emotions and being attuned to this stuff, it seeped into me. And in the knowledge of this bird, use this voice, and you can hear it. I hope one day to capture it. But it's like a caring mother. It's so weird. I mean, it sounds esoteric, for sure. But I don't want to be like, you know, this is, I'm uncomfortable and self-conscious about, like, you know, this stuff, the tone of the voice, you can't help it. You feel this emotional resonance, and it was personal. And this animal was, you know, hearing me cry, and it, you know, it was such a beautiful moment, and this animal truly cared. Right now, as I'm crying, I hear some animal, but that's what I mean. Oh, now the wind's blowing. I hope my voice doesn't get cut off. I think I wait until the wind stops. You know, it had a different voice. It's the subtleties. You begin, if you do the inner work, I would describe it as inner work, and you get attuned to your own emotions and how things affect you. Just like, you know, emotional resonance kind of deal. You pick up on these slightest subtleties. And you know, you notice this in other people too, like going back after having this experience and looking at other people, I begin to notice more stuff in other people too that I didn't allow myself to notice. So when this bird was there, the voice that it used was talking to, you know, to a hurt child. It's the exact resonance a human would talk to, and it feels to me it's even more, the way of talking is, you know, even more fundamental and basic. The you know, you can, you know, frequency kind on all this stuff. And I love this. And it made me feel heard. You know, even I'm truly not alone. The birds also care about me, how I feel, and they also respond to me. And yeah, it was almost, it was and then yeah, I did this again, another journal, somewhere else. and the same thing started happening again. And you know, I started hearing this voice around where I was riding my bike, and I saw a bird right in front of my window multiple times. I saw it never before, not a single time ever, any summer as I was there. And then, you know, this summer, after this happens, now there's birds in front of my window. Stuff like this, like, what the hell? But yeah, then I'm here with this knowledge, and I think I've butchered something that's happened. But it happened again while I was here, and while I was walking here, I started paying attention to the subtleties in their voice, and I noticed, you know, these birds are kind of like, you know, a community or a society, you know, let's say a community, and they have their, I would say, people, you know, birds paying attention, and I hear subtle differences. This I noticed once I paid attention to the emotion it evoked in me, because I think now, as I formulated before, like, birds are acoustic creatures. And I'm, of course, after I had this experience in the forest, I googled this, and it said that it was approved. I mean, it approved what I experienced, but it took the crows as an example. But like, it's even with these small tiny birds that you wouldn't assume, because you think they are just, you know, audio recorders. I mean audio playback, and they just sing the same song. But it's because we are always just giving them the same response, or treating them, you know, like not toys, but, you know, treating them like this. Oh, what a nice bird! Until, you know, I have cried in front of this. I've cried in this moment, and it just such an emotional intelligence it has. I was so blown away and so in love now with these animals now. And I was going in my head, like, I mean, like, what a well, like, they live only a couple years, but, you know, they fly to Africa and across so many countries and pick up on so many things from other animals, and from humans, of course, too. So they have such a well of emotional knowledge, just being able to respond in this way to me in this moment, that, you know, I want to make the second iteration of this video where, you know, when I feel better and more attuned, so I can just I feel like I can give this, what I want to describe, justice. So yeah, you know, thinking about these animals flying, they're picking up on all these things and seeing, you know, responding to hearing. And I mean, what I read is, at least this response that I got from Googling, is that, I mean, they can pick up, I mean, crows, for example, can pick up on your expression and tone. I mean, I'm not so sure, maybe, but it definitely picked up on my voice, and it responded, and it knew, it felt right, when, you know, it felt personal. And yeah, now the word, you know, looking back, no, let me go to this, like, I started talking about this area after that happened, and doing this, talking about this another personal topic that I'm not comfortable sharing. Now I want to share, at least I wanted to get it out, and I start crying here too, and this happens again. But this time there's a bunch of birds, and just paying attention in my, stuff happens in my head where I get a sense of, this one bird that saw me first is the, is the usual bird that pays attention, and when there's danger, and then I start sitting there, and some birds have the usual uncomfortable tone, and I start doing this video. Or another bird being, start doing this video. Let me turn to, like, I can't recall the exact situation, but I start crying, and then the tone of this bird changes, and then they start talking with each other, and then from far away it feels like they call for a wiser bird, or like, they call for the mother, so to speak. And this bird comes in, sits right at this door, at this tree, and starts singing in a similar manner to that bird that sang to me when I was in the forest. And the others changed the way they sing too. And it's such a personal, beautiful experience. Going back to the town then, after experiencing that, feeling heard and feeling cared about emotionally, and paying, having attention to that side, and then seeing that the same resonance I have with people, which I didn't notice before, in a different level. And now, before that, I felt nobody cared about me, and now I feel like not only I'm not alone, even the birds care about me. That's not a bad way of, but yeah, now I have twice the amount of beings that care about me emotionally, and I'm truly not alone. And I can always, I look forward every time going here. But some people I feel hurt by. So today something happened this morning. Somebody, it feels nosy, this person, and I feel uncomfortable because washing my clothes in the city. Why are you washing your clothes in the city? Can't you do it at home? And now you put the needle in, and now today again asking do you want to wash your clothes again? And you are not supposed to know this, and now I'm here and I can't enjoy this moment anymore. I think about this, but I appreciate. I want to finish what I talked about. The video cut off. A person feeling nosy. I don't want to talk about this. I don't want anybody to know that what happens. I feel uncomfortable at home. That I wash my clothes in another city and in a washing thing, in a washing saloon. And the person it's already you're, it's so nosy. But of course, then he found out that it's clothing, and then I didn't want you to know this, but here and then not stopping there, asking, continue to asking, why don't you washing it at home? And then I have to start explaining stuff that I don't feel like you would understand anyway, because I fear that he will start telling this to my parents, and then they don't understand me at the first, but they don't understand me to begin with, but now they know about my coping mechanisms, and now we get to discuss my coping mechanisms and how stupid it is, why I'm doing washing, and then having to uncomfortably open up about everything that I never felt validated about. That was a discussion piece before. Now having gone to this place where I washed my clothes there, and then feeling opening up cascades of invalidation. So I want him to not know about this. This one. um, and now today again, like, where are you going? And it feels like really uncomfortable because I sit in front of the doorstep when I do my breakfast, coffee and French toast in my hand, and this was good for a long time. But then they start coming out, and every moment, and I put on my headphones, pretending like I'm occupied, and then saying, okay, now we start and open. We put next week tables and chairs there so the customers can sit, and it's right beside the exit, so I already feel uncomfortable around people. And now there's a button during the entire summer. Now there's gonna be every day a bunch of people looking back to me being in trade school and then having a room there which is right in front of an ice cafe, and having the largest window, like it's like the entire front wall is just large window, and I go into this room and you see the ice cafe and every single person sitting there and everybody looks inside. This is like a kind of fucking place where already feeling like that I'm strange and weird, and now being on a silver platter, and now this happens again. In one go figure why. I don't know. I don't feel now this happens, and then today him asking me like, are you going again, washing your clothes again? And me like, no. I don't know. It's like it was a felt, and also feeling like he starts. My mom saying they make jokes about you. They make fun of you, thinking that because I don't want to be in the kitchen, so I have my shit at the cellar. Thinking that sleeping, you sleep at the couch there at the bottom, and they start making fun of you, and thinking that just becoming a joke figure in front of him, and him just like, I feel uncomfortable. But you shouldn't have even known to begin with that I you shouldn't have. I didn't feel comfortable you knowing anything about me, because I don't yeah. I want to talk about something else, but I forgot. Maybe I recall it because it was important. Just so much. Now I'm here. I've bought me, in response to this happening, now I have my coffee with me, and I no longer sit on the ledge there. I go here, and hopefully later I have my own home or my own apartment or whatever. And then, but I know, like, I don't want to repeat this. But I want to feel safe, and I don't want, now people. This is what it feels, having this space where I feel safe, and not, somebody then deciding, okay, we put chairs there, so people can sit there 24/7 every day. It's like having the equivalent of, in this ice cafe situation, in my own house, or in this place where I try to feel comfortable with myself, and sit there and have a moment. days where I feel okay and I feel nice sitting around people, but it has something to do, with my, I don't know, but yeah, it's not, it's not, it's exact opposite of what this bird did to me. I think this is the perfect way of explaining this. It's the exact opposite of how this bird is relating to me, or how this bird is responding to me, And now I remember when I had the consultation with Adam, my art teacher, Adam Duff, or let's say with the person I paid 550 euros to have 2 hours of consultation and then getting access to getting access to self-learning material. But at least I talked a little bit with him. I couldn't wait 3 years to have the art school thing. So I chose the consultation. I had a consultation with him, and at one point he was asking me what's my relationship with animals. This is now. I hope he will watch this. I think I'm gonna change the title to make Adam watch this. Because here's my response. What's my relationship to animals? I'm still reflecting about this. And it didn't change. But it got proven, and it's very important. And my relationship to animals is now, after this experience, before I've already formulated it that way. Animals, I feel, are an aspect of life, are an aspect of us. But an animal can never understand you the way a human can. So, I'm not somebody, I'm not there and, being a weirdo that, fetishizes animals and only loves animals and says humans suck. Because I find these people cringe and strange, and they kind of chop off their humanity to fetishize animals. To me, animals can never understand you the way a human could, but they still, what I experienced, they truly have an aspect, they encompass an aspect of our humanity. And with those birds, they encompass the emotional aspect and dishonesty. It's, these words can't describe it, but it's in there, and they know it, and they feel it, and they such a healing ability, and feeling heard. And I like that birds, let me reframe this, or retry describing this. They make you, they don't say words, or they don't say, the cognitive stuff. It's just noises and tones, but it's in there. The emotions are in there, and you still feel heard and, cared for or loved. And it's such, it's an aspect that doesn't require words. Humans, we have, we also have our words and our language and other stuff, but they encompass this aspect. And I could not talk with a bird about stuff that I do in these videos, but just feeling emotionally heard or cared for, that was in this moment enough to not feel alone. Yeah, I love animals, but they are not a replacement for true human connection. Yeah, and that moment, that yeah, I find furries cringe and perverted. And the most stupid aspect of relating to that, I want to have a jab at those because I don't. It's one of my uncomfortabilities. I don't want to put into the same drawer as these people. Fuck those people. Yeah, I want to add this too. I have had to end the video with a shitty troll. Maybe I cut this out. Okay, and that was my response to Adam. Yeah. Watch out. Okay. Damn, I just can't stop. I want to add something else. I just want to add that, I mean, with the experience of the person there, and with you know, there was a woman jogging there, and I felt immediately, but I think this trauma, that I feel like she looks at me and sees the weirdo. You know, in now talking about this bird stuff, I feel uncomfortable. You know why I feel uncomfortable? Because of my feeling like proving that I'm a fucking weirdo. But also feeling empowered by this. It's this double-edged sword, and I have this with humans too. Like saying that no life form, no animal can understand you the way a human can. But wanting to add, but this does not mean that human relationships can't be absolutely destructive, or human can. But like this doesn't disprove that considering being chased by a tiger, so you have shit on both worlds. So yeah. Okay. You can still be bullied by people even though they have the capacity to understand you like nothing else can. But that does not mean that you are not that does not mean that they will, and that does not mean that you won't get bullied by some people, or going through even your own mother can beat you like an enemy, or somebody who wants to hurt you. Okay, that's what I wanted to add. Yeah, I'm so glad to have had this experience.